Millions of people in the United States deal with muscle loss or persistent weakness after illness, injury, aging, or intense training sessions, and the frustration that comes from not being able to regain that lost muscle strength can feel overwhelming. Many try everything: supplements, workouts, physical therapy. But without understanding the best foods to restore your muscle strength, recovery remains slow, inconsistent, and at times emotionally draining. People from the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia also experience similar struggles. But in the US, where fast food dominates and nutrition takes a back seat, the challenge becomes even more intense. What's worse is that many Americans rely on processed protein shakes filled with artificial ingredients, believing they're doing the right thing, yet they often miss the powerful effect of real, whole foods. The first thing people need to know is that your body can't rebuild muscle tissue without high-quality protein. This doesn't just mean more protein, it means the right kind of protein. One of the best foods to restore your muscle strength is wild-caught salmon. It's rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which not only reduce inflammation but also enhance muscle protein synthesis. Many Americans are deficient in omega-3s, and that deficiency slows down recovery. Muscle growth requires an anti-inflammatory environment, and without omega-3s, especially from sources like salmon or sardines, the healing process stays compromised. Add to that the fact that salmon is loaded with vitamin D, another nutrient that plays a key role in muscle function, and it becomes obvious why this fish belongs at the top of any recovery diet. Another overlooked powerhouse is eggs, especially pasture-raised eggs. They're rich in leucine, one of the most potent amino acids for muscle repair and growth. Many doctors and nutritionists in the United States now recommend higher leucine intake post-surgery, after injury, or even for people over 60 trying to prevent sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. But it's not just the egg whites. The yolks contain choline, which is vital for nerve-muscle communication. If your nerves aren't firing properly, your muscles won't respond effectively, and no matter how much you exercise, progress stays slow. Scrambled, boiled, or sunny side up, eggs are one of the best foods to restore your muscle strength, and they're incredibly affordable for families struggling with rising grocery costs in both urban and rural U.S. areas. Muscle cannot repair without complete proteins, but just as important are foods that feed the mitochondria inside your muscle cells. That's why grass-fed beef is next. Not only does it contain all essential amino acids, but it also provides coenzyme Q10, CoQ10, iron, vitamin B12, and zinc, nutrients directly involved in energy production, oxygen transport, and tissue healing. American patients with chronic fatigue or muscle disorders often have low B12 and iron. These deficiencies are especially common in older adults and women, and they often go undiagnosed. When someone lacks iron or B12, their muscles don't get the oxygen they need, and performance suffers. Eating lean grass-fed beef once or twice a week can drastically improve these levels. It's especially critical for patients coming out of surgery or recovering from major illness where muscle wasting has already set in. Plant-based sources also matter, especially lentils and chickpeas, which are rich in protein, magnesium, and potassium, minerals your muscles absolutely need for proper contraction and relaxation. A deficiency in magnesium is extremely common in the United States, particularly in people who eat a high-sugar diet or drink alcohol regularly. What many don't realize is that magnesium acts like a gatekeeper for calcium in muscle cells. Without it, calcium can flood in and cause spasms, cramps, or even chronic tightness that makes recovery from injury even harder. Chickpeas also offer a powerful combination of carbs and protein that's essential after a workout or physical therapy session. You need those carbs to shuttle amino acids into the muscle and begin repair. If you skip carbs completely, especially after exercise, you delay healing and blunt your gains. One food that surprises most people is Greek yogurt, especially the full-fat kind. It's not just the protein, though it's rich in casein and whey, both needed for muscle rebuilding, but it also contains probiotics, which play a silent but powerful role in nutrient absorption and inflammation control. In the United States, antibiotic use is extremely common, and these drugs often wipe out gut bacteria that are necessary to digest and absorb nutrients from food. A damaged gut means that even if you eat the best foods to restore your muscle strength, your body may not absorb them properly. Greek yogurt helps repair that gut lining while providing calcium and phosphorus to strengthen bones and support overall muscle integrity. If you've ever been in the hospital or had surgery in the United States, you probably noticed how poor the hospital food is. White bread, processed cheese, canned vegetables. It's no wonder that so many people come out weaker than they went in. A key missing ingredient in those meals is collagen. That's why bone broth is one of the best foods to restore your muscle strength, especially for those recovering from tendon or ligament injuries. Bone broth provides not only collagen but also glycine, proline, and glutamine, amino acids your muscles and connective tissues need. People with joint instability, chronic pain, or post-operative weakness can often accelerate healing with daily cups of real, slow-cooked bone broth. This is a practice still popular in traditional households in the United Kingdom and Canada, but in the U.S., it's often dismissed as old-fashioned despite strong evidence of its effectiveness. And then there's quinoa, often overlooked in the American diet, but used widely by physical therapists and athletic trainers in Australia for its unique combination of complex carbs and complete protein. Unlike most grains, quinoa contains all 9 essential amino acids, plus B vitamins, magnesium, and manganese, which help repair damaged muscle fibers. The slow-digesting carbohydrates provide a steady source of glucose to your muscles, which is essential for recovery, especially in endurance athletes or people doing physical rehab. In the United States, where high carb often means white bread or sugary cereals, quinoa is a smart, nutrient-dense choice that doesn't spike blood sugar while still supporting muscle repair. There's also a surprising need for vitamin C, something that most people associate with immune health but rarely with muscle function. However, vitamin C is essential for collagen synthesis. Without it, tendons and connective tissues weaken, which slows down every kind of muscular recovery, from a torn rotator cuff to general fatigue after resistance training. That's why red bell peppers and kiwis should not be ignored. Just one kiwi delivers more than 200% of the daily recommended intake of vitamin C. Americans trying to bounce back from sports injuries often take ibuprofen or other anti-inflammatory drugs, but they don't realize that supporting natural collagen production through vitamin C-rich foods like these can accelerate the process without the side effects of medication. In many United States households, sweet potatoes have become a favorite among fitness enthusiasts for a reason. They provide slow-burning carbohydrates, beta-carotene, vitamin A, and potassium. After strenuous training or during physical therapy, glycogen stores need to be replenished to restore energy and power your next workout. Sweet potatoes are ideal for this purpose, especially when combined with protein. In fact, some U.S.-based physical therapy clinics now include sweet potatoes in their post-rehab meal recommendations. But this wasn't always the case. Processed foods once dominated every recovery plan. Only recently has the shift toward whole food carbohydrates taken place, mostly due to better science and patient feedback. And we can't ignore spinach, a leafy green often ignored by younger Americans who associate it with bland salads. But spinach contains nitrates, which convert into nitric oxide in the body. This improves blood flow, allowing nutrients to reach muscle tissues faster. People in the United Kingdom with circulatory issues often use nitrate-rich vegetables to improve performance. And some athletic trainers in Canada even recommend spinach juice or beet juice after injuries to promote blood flow. That's because better circulation means faster nutrient delivery, less muscle soreness, and quicker regeneration. Without good circulation, your recovery gets stuck, and muscles don't receive the materials they need to rebuild. Let's talk about a food that most people in the United States, Canada, and even Australia already have in their kitchen: turmeric. But not just as a spice sprinkled on chicken. What matters is the curcumin inside turmeric, a compound that directly targets inflammation in muscle tissue. After injury, inflammation is a natural part of healing. But in many people, especially older adults or those with metabolic conditions, that inflammation becomes chronic and damaging. Clinical studies now show that curcumin reduces levels of TNF-alpha and interleukin-6, two inflammatory markers that stay elevated in people who struggle to recover from even minor muscle strains. Taking turmeric with black pepper, which contains piperine, increases absorption dramatically, making it one of the best foods to restore your muscle strength if used daily. In the United Kingdom, some rehab centers are already including turmeric-based recovery shakes into post-op care for tendon injuries and back surgeries. Equally important, but often completely forgotten in the U.S. diet, is beets. Beets are rich in nitrates, which, just like spinach, convert into nitric oxide and widen blood vessels, increasing nutrient delivery and oxygen flow. People recovering from muscle loss due to immobility or extended bed rest, something that happens all too often in American hospitals, can benefit from beet juice or roasted beets daily. Beets also help lower blood pressure and improve cardiovascular function, both of which are essential when you're trying to rebuild strength after major trauma or surgery. In Canada, some nutritionists now use beet juice as a pre-rehab supplement to increase performance and blood flow before physical therapy sessions. Hydration is another major factor. Most people think of water, but forget that electrolytes, especially potassium, sodium, magnesium, and calcium, are what actually drive muscle contractions and nerve function. One of the best foods to restore your muscle strength from this angle is coconut water, which provides a natural source of potassium and magnesium without the artificial chemicals found in sports drinks like Gatorade or Powerade. After intense sweating, injury, or even use of medications like diuretics and blood pressure pills, electrolyte levels drop and muscles begin to cramp or weaken. In the United States, electrolyte imbalances are a common cause of ER visits for dizziness and muscle weakness. Using coconut water after exercise or with meals during recovery can dramatically reduce symptoms and speed up nerve-muscle communication. Now here's where most people completely sabotage their muscle recovery. They eat too many omega-6 oils, from seed oils like soybean, corn, and canola. These oils are everywhere in the United States, hidden in everything from salad dressings to frozen meals. Excess omega-6 creates a pro-inflammatory state that blocks muscle growth and even breaks down muscle protein. This is where avocados come in. Rich in monounsaturated fats, potassium, and B vitamins, avocados help reduce inflammation, stabilize hormones like testosterone and insulin, and repair damaged tissues. In the United Kingdom and Australia, avocado is often part of breakfast or lunch, but in many U.S. regions it's still treated as a luxury item. This mindset needs to change. Avocado is not only one of the best foods to restore your muscle strength, but it also protects heart health and improves nutrient absorption, especially fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, all of which are involved in muscle metabolism. The conversation around muscle strength can't happen without talking about zinc. a mineral often overlooked but crucial for testosterone production, immune function, and tissue repair. One of the richest sources of zinc is pumpkin seeds, which also provide magnesium and plant-based protein. In the United States, zinc deficiency is extremely common, especially in older adults and vegetarians. A lack of zinc slows down healing, increases fatigue, and causes poor recovery after workouts. Just a handful of pumpkin seeds daily can reverse this, especially when paired with foods rich in vitamin C, which helps with zinc absorption. People in Canada recovering from injuries often use bone broth protein powder or homemade broth with added turmeric and garlic. Garlic may seem like a flavoring ingredient, but it's also an anti-inflammatory food that boosts circulation and has mild anabolic effects. It increases the release of testosterone and nitric oxide, two molecules absolutely necessary for muscle growth and repair. Some U.S. strength coaches are now adding garlic extract to post-workout meals to support anabolic recovery, especially in older male athletes or clients struggling with age-related muscle decline. Even with all the nutrients and protein in the world, if your insulin sensitivity is poor, your muscles won't grow. That's why blueberries are key. They're packed with anthocyanins and polyphenols, compounds that lower inflammation and stabilize blood sugar, which makes them especially valuable after resistance training or during rehab from metabolic disorders like diabetes. Muscle cells need insulin to shuttle amino acids into the tissue. In people with insulin resistance, a huge problem in the United States, this process breaks down. Blueberries help restore that insulin pathway and are also known to reduce oxidative stress, one of the main reasons muscles break down faster in those with chronic conditions. You also need to focus on foods that activate mTOR, the master switch for muscle protein synthesis. One of the best foods to restore your muscle strength that does this naturally is cottage cheese, especially full-fat organic versions. It contains casein protein, which is slow digesting and feeds muscles overnight, plus leucine, the amino acid that flips on mTOR. Many physical therapists in Canada recommend eating cottage cheese before bed to enhance overnight recovery. In the U.S., it's often associated with old diet fads, but when used correctly, it becomes one of the most effective nighttime muscle-building foods. If you're dealing with adrenal fatigue, overtraining, or chronic stress, your cortisol levels are probably elevated. Cortisol breaks down muscle tissue, especially in the legs and arms, and delays recovery after any injury or workout. One food that helps bring cortisol down is dark chocolate, with at least 85% cocoa. It's rich in magnesium, flavonoids, and theobromine, which relax the nervous system and improve blood flow. Used wisely, just 1 square per day can support hormonal balance, especially for those under high stress or dealing with sleep issues that interfere with recovery. In the United Kingdom, small amounts of dark chocolate are often included in balanced meal plans for patients in long-term rehab centers. Another overlooked powerhouse is mushrooms, especially varieties like shiitake, maitake, and reishi, which are loaded with beta-glucans, vitamin D, and immune-supporting compounds. These nutrients not only help fight off infections during recovery, but also assist in reducing chronic inflammation in damaged muscle fibers. People recovering from surgery or illness in the United States often pick up bacterial or viral infections due to lowered immunity. Mushrooms provide a natural shield, helping the immune system support the muscle rebuilding process rather than drain it. Their vitamin D content also plays a huge role in muscle strength, especially in populations living in northern U.S. states where sunlight exposure is limited. And if your gut isn't functioning right, none of this works. That's why fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, and kefir are essential. They introduce beneficial bacteria into the gut, which helps break down protein and absorb amino acids. In the United States, gut health is often destroyed by antibiotics, high sugar diets, and stress. Without healthy gut flora, even the best foods to restore your muscle strength won't be properly absorbed. You could be eating perfectly and still see no results. This is especially true in athletes using NSAIDs for pain, as those drugs damage the gut lining over time.